yourself. Most injuries during earthquakes happen when something drops and hit people entering or exiting a building. Last thing, don't want to run outside and ask, you feel it, you feel it? Remain calm, stay indoors until all the shaking stop, and do the DCH. Drop, hover, hold on.
This message is sponsored by the Australian Government, AusAid, and produced by NIMA in collaboration with WINN FM.
Do you want to know what's happening in sport? Tune in to On The Ball, a weekly tour show which is on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. with me, your host, Troy Bif Mills. We will keep you on the ball with our variety of guests and, of course, your calls, discussing the facts and the stats and sharing your opinions. Get on the ball and stay on the ball by tuning into On The Ball with Troy Bif Mills on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. and also on Facebook and YouTube. Be on the ball.
Heritage matters to me. Heritage matters to you. Join me, Percival Hanley, this coming Friday and every other Friday at 10 a.m. to 12 noon for Heritage Matters on WINN Media SKN 98.9. Heritage matters to me. Heritage matters to you.
Do you want to know what's happening in sport? Tune in to On the Ball, a weekly talk show which is on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. with me, your host, Troy Bif Mills. We will keep you on the ball with our variety of guests and, of course, your calls, discussing the facts and the stats and sharing your opinions. Get on the ball and stay on the ball by tuning into On the Ball with Troy Bif Mills on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. and also on Facebook and YouTube. Be on the ball. St. Kitts and Nevis. Good evening to everybody in the Leeward Islands, the OECS, the Caribbean. Once we're stepping out of the Caribbean, we have to start saying good morning, good afternoon, good night to you, wherever you are listening. Welcome to another edition of WINN FM 98 of the world. I don't know yet. And once I read that there's a particular country that has tomorrow and yesterday at the same time because of the time zones and where that country is. But hey, wherever you are, good evening, good evening. Welcome to another edition of On the Ball here at WINN FM 98.9. I am Troy Bif Mills. I am your host, and I'm hoping we're going to have a little bit of fun tonight, a lot of education. Boy, a lot of things are keeping up. A lot of things are going on. We got football, we got basketball, we got track and field. Don't think we got any netball. Did I say we got basketball? We got female cricket. We got male cricket. West Indies versus Sri Lanka cricket. Boy, things ain't going well with the females. But on the flip side, things going tremendously well with the males. But before we get into that, you got some people that I must big up. Because if I don't, some of them going to WhatsApp me before the program done, abuse me. But how come if you ain't hear me up and listening, And some of them, they're going to wait until the show done to call me. Some of them going to call me tomorrow. And some of them, when I run into them, whether down by Ram, sitting down in front of Rams or anyway, they're going to suck it to me good and plenty. And they're right, because listenership is important. We could have this program, but it doesn't make sense if nobody listening. And talking about listening, we're inviting persons to come on board as corporate partners, as sponsor. And you have opportunities to sponsor the On the Ball program here at WINN FM 98.9 or sponsor the evening news, the evening sports heard every evening after the major news at 6 p.m. So the sports will come in at 6:30, 6:35, 6:30 plus, somewhere there. But you could tune in from 6 o'clock, listen to the news and then the sports, and a rebroadcast every morning at 7 o'clock, 7 a.m. So unlike other stations, you're guaranteed to get news and sports, and especially sports, 7 days a week. We do sports on the weekend, Saturday, Sunday. We do sports on public holidays. So all when Juve morning and Easter Monday and Good Friday, people going to fly kite and jam and whatever, WINN FM bringing sports to you because we want to keep you in touch with what's happening locally, regionally and internationally. And I think I should boast and give WINN FM some kudos as the only station that I've been hearing sports news, especially coming out of Nevis. We've been covering the track and field. We've been covering netball, the football. As a matter of fact, I can tell you something. There was a cricket game in Nevis on the weekend. The Nevis Cricket Association, they've started their 40 over league, I think it is. And they had a game on Sunday. And I must compliment Curtis Morton Jr. for providing the reports that we are able to bring you about what is happening in Nevis in the sporting arena. Not just football, not just cricket, anything sports. If they have a pitching marble competition, Curtis Morton, I guarantee you, he's going to give you a report on that. And Curtis Morton is our eyes and ears on the ground in Nevis. So once Curtis Morton got it, you know you're going to get it. WINN FM, we're going to give it to you. So I was telling you about this cricket match in Nevis. Who it was, highlights against somebody. And a popular cricketer from Nevis, plays for Nevis, but he also plays in St. Kitts as well for one of the teams, Adrian Williams, I think. He hit a ball for 6, such a massive, humongous 6, over the boundary line, over some fence, and a pickup, I think it was parked, somewhere about in there, and bam! What do you think happened? The ball hit the windscreen and cracked the windscreen. So imagine my producer, Raspy of Tough House Sounds. He come watch the game. He and his girl and his family and whatever and children, and so they're watching the game, and next thing he following the ball, bam, and he see it hit his windscreen. Raspy gonna jump up mad, and maybe he might let off a certain colorful language, I don't know. A few expensive Raspy. But when he realized, boy, no, the man cracked my windscreen and something, boy, he got to pay. And next thing the conversation gonna come up, who gonna go pay to repair the man's windscreen? And is it the bowler? Is it the batsman? Is it the Nevis Cricket Association? And it so happened, from my understanding, that one of the players on the victorious team, the same team where the guy was batting who hit the 6, he's a lawyer. So people ask him, well, Curtis Morton Jr. asked him, because you know we journalists fast, buddy. Whether it's sports or news journalists. A journalist is really a fasting person, eh? They get into your business and they ask the questions them that you don't really like, you don't want people to know, and you get vexed with them. And some of us, what we do, we get very spiteful and vindictive. And next thing they start to target you, they don't invite you to press conference, they don't send invitations to you to go to places and so. But hey, in my whole life as a supervisor, as a manager, as a leader, in the workplace, I always tell my colleagues, my co-workers, guys, once you do what you have to do, when you have to do it, how you have to do it, all I'm going to pass by you and say, hey, you all right? What are you doing tomorrow night? How the family? And I go and leave you. We talk, of course. But me ain't going to get on you about the work because you're doing everything right. So, as a journalist, you can't be a journalist. Whether it's in the corporate entity, whether it's in the sporting arena, whether it's in government, once you do what you say you're going to do, how you do, when you do it, once you don't fool the people, the journalists, they're going to only ask you soft questions. But not when you say A and it's A, B, C, D. Or when you say A, B, C, D, and no, journalists ask you only saying A, B, and all them kind of things. Journalists ain't going to have no hard questions to ask you. But, so the guy asks this gentleman, so who going to pay for it? And you know what the guy say? And I use the example with Raspy. Well, boy, when Raspy he pick up his car, his Jeep, and he park up in here for a cricket match, and that happens, he's parking at his own risk. So it therefore means Raspy got abused but go and fix his windscreen. Because if he didn't want the ball to hit the windscreen, he should have parked it outside, parked it somewhere down the road and walk and things like that. Because you know they're playing cricket, you know it's a hard ball, you know the ball could come over the fence. So if you hit your glass, tough luck. And that is what happened. And guess what? I remember what happened here in St. Kitts, you know, up at Warner Park. I believe it was before 97. It's 97 we had the World Cup here in St. Kitts, I think. 2000, no. No, it's 2007, I think. 2007 we had the World Cup. 97, what we had here in 97? I can't remember when they fixed up the park. But anyway, but it was before that.
when we had the three pitches, the CHA pitch, as we used to call it, and I understand that was what, I think that was the renowned pitch. You had the center pitch, where you walk straight, go up in the pavilion, and then you had the pitch down on the football field. I think that was the progressive pitch or the St. Christopher pitch, something like that, I can't remember. Those were the two big clubs, the sophisticated society clubs, cricket clubs we had in St. Kitts. You couldn't make the St. Kitts team, no matter how good you are. If you're from the rural, you got to come play for one of them two teams, especially renowned, before they could consider to look at you to play for the St. Kitts team. And I understand, I've heard reports from persons who told me, persons from Sandy Point, persons from the eastern side of the island, why, you know, people from, I can't remember which club it was, renowned St. Christopher Progressive, but they're the three big society clubs, so to speak. And the person tell me, boy, some people deceased, and said, keep up. Exactly. And they were, for you to make St. Kitts team, you know, you got to come and join this team, which one of them clubs. Some people say yes, some people say no. And those who went on to say yes actually went on to play. But that's now, this is back in the 60s, at least 60s, and even in the 70s. But after that, persons from Sandy Point, because he had two sets of two brothers from Sandy Point played. There was Ramsey Dixon and Bobby Dixon Stanley, his brother. Bobby was an off spinner, Ramsey was a leg spinner. And Ramsey was so fast. Ramsey was faster than a lot of pacemen in St. Kitts, eh? And then you had Larry Laplace, Steve Laplace, and we had three brothers in Sandy Point. They equaled the record. As a matter of fact, the three of them played for St. Kitts at the same time. There was Sheena Berridge, they call him Cheesy. He was a pace bowler. There was the leg spinner, left arm leg spinner, they call him Nicky Boye. I think he was a Berridge. So you had Sheena Berridge, Dylan Liddy, call him Ziggy, he was the wicket keeper. And Nicky Boye, he was a Berridge as well. So the two of them, Berridge and Liddy, but the three brothers, and Maggie, the brother. Really, why, if it's one person in St. Kitts I'm really proud of, is her. Because to see she three sons play for St. Kitts, that was really awesome. One player as a wicket keeper bat, one player as a leg spinner, one player as a paceman, and Cheesy. That's the pace bowler, Chino Berridge. He went on to play for the Leewards. So could you imagine the pride? And she come from some little back hole, some little corner, Panyagong in Crabbill. Crabbill, the capital of Sandy Point, and some people gonna vex with me for that. Sarah, bring us back to those were the days when that happened, but I was talking about the park. And if I'm not mistaken, and I'm subject to correction, I believe the car that was struck in Warner Park was Dwyer Astafan. And of course, I could be called and corrected about that. And I think at the time he may have been, not the choice of words, may have been the president of the St. Kitts Cricket Association, may have been. So I think it was really him, and I believe he was the president. How it worked out, I really don't know. I remember some arguments by some people, what should happen and who should pay. And like the lawyer said, that it is a risk you're taking, so therefore you should really, if you don't want your car to get hit, then you park it somewhere about. I'm going to look for the clip about that, and I'm going to play it, because that's a real situation. But enough talking. You ain't want me hear about all them talking politics. Up to now, me call the big supporters. I got to start with Annie Ann over in Taba. Good night, Annie. How you doing, lady? Well, I see your son last night. I see your son John last night. And John tell me you don't watch cricket and you don't listen more sports than him. And he's a big sportsman in St. Kitts and Nevis. Commentator, analysts, and in charge of the Duckworth Lewis system especially. We got Annie Hull, also over there in Green Valley, along with Larnett Somerset. Well, she ain't really from Green Valley. She's from up the village, I think. Her sister is a big scorer, Yvette Summerson. But I think Larnett gone over Green Valley, go live with the better half or the better three-quarters, as the case may be. And who else we have? Evie Morris Phillip, or Evie Phillip Morris. Every time I talk to the lady, I keep forgetting. I got to really ask her, which is it? Is it Evie Morris Phillip or Evie Phillip Morris? But I could tell you, she's blind. She listens to WINN FM. She listens to the sports program. She lives at she tell me where she lives in Manchester Avenue. But I know you go across Manchester Avenue, you turn left by Back to Shop. Back to Shop on the right, you go up a little bit, and she lives there on the left. And who we got? John Montezuma Palmer over in Mansion, the mayor of Mansion, the governor of Mansion, I don't know. But I could tell you, if anything happen in Mansion, you want to know anything that happen in Mansion, he's the man to check. He's the man in the know. Then we got from Inner City, Molyneux, Montclair Tito Samuel. He's a man that abused me. He's always tuned in. He is in Canada, Montreal. I wonder if he was here in the Christmas bar. I can't remember, but I see one of his partners stood here in the Christmas. So Montclair Samuels. That's the correct name. And good evening to you, sir. Thank you for watching the program. And who else we have? Who else do we have? The entire Brownhill Nevis. The entire Brownhill Nevis. So if you drive through Brownhill Nevis now, I understand you got to turn off your radio in your vehicle because everybody house in Brownhill in Nevis, they tune into On the Ball program. Maybe because I think we're the only station in St. Kitts that brings sports that happen in Nevis. And we do that a few times a week. So it's not a one-off thing. So we are proud of that. The Domino Cruise down SP where the best be. They always tune in. Fight set up in Newton, he's a man. And he don't tell me, why if you make a mistake, why if you ain't mentioned that, So, good evening to all of you, and thank you. We appreciate that. And again, to members of the corporate community, we invite you to come on board as sponsors. And you have two opportunities. You can sponsor this 2-hour program every Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. Every Tuesday night, except public holidays. And it's a 2-hour program On the Ball. You can sponsor the On the Ball. We encourage you to sponsor it for the entire month. However, there are different packages. You can sponsor the first Tuesday in the month, the second, the third, the fourth, or the first hour, or the last hour. Whatever you're thinking of, we have a package for you. Call our marketing department, 466-69685, and our marketing personnel will deal with you. Or you can send me a WhatsApp, 765-1100. And speaking of WhatsApp, folks, 765-1100, that's my WhatsApp number right now. I have two phones, 668-2055 and 765-1100. The 1100 is the one with the WhatsApp. Both I could receive calls. However, I have the calling package on 668-2055. So I could call you anytime, any place on that one. But the other one, to get WhatsApp and calls, I have to have Wi-Fi. So be governed accordingly. And we also have the opportunity to sponsor our daily sports package. It's about 15 minutes. Some of the time we drop a little bit. Some of the time we go a little bit over. It depends on the length of the news too. But you're going to get your mileage every day. And we thank Island Bakery for sponsoring the program. Raspi, where are we going to start? Let us start. Do we start with football? Hold on, no. Let's not start with football, Raspi. Let me start with some basketball. What's happening here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis with basketball. The St. Kitts and Nevis Basketball Association, SCANABA, St. Kitts and Nevis Amateur Basketball Association, actually, SCANABA, they have started their junior league since Saturday the 31st of January. And all kind of things happening. I don't say all kind of things. I mean all kind of things happening. Team making 36 points. That's the lowest points for the year. Team making 116 points. Only one team gone over 100 points, triple digits for the year. And that team got the three highest scores, 94, 96, and 116. And if you look sharp, they got the fourth highest, 87. Yeah, and who do you think are the highest scores? ASC Jayhawks, Achievers Sports Club Jayhawks. The highest score of 116 when they defeated St. Paul's Tough Nuts, which is a former youth champion. That's on Thursday, 12th February. Jayhawks 116, St. Paul's Tough Nuts 46. The second highest score was the same Jayhawks, the opening match against Boardwalk Uprisers 96-57 on Saturday 31st. The third highest score, Jayhawks versus St. Thomas Trinity United. They won the game 94-53. That's on Saturday 7th February. So that's the third highest score. And the fourth highest score is Jayhawks again. Jayhawks versus the Sandy Point Falcons 87-52. 87-52. And that game was on Thursday the 19th February, so recently. So Jayhawks, Achievers Sports Club Jayhawks, I think that's Romel Tobias, that's his team. They have the top four highest scores. But of course, if you got high, you got to go lotto. And I might get some money for this, but journalists, we are supposed to call it how we see it, whether you like it or not. We're giving you the facts. You interpret the facts. There are times, some may argue we're not supposed to give opinions, but there are times we do as we are human beings, we are sports, whatever you're into. 84-36. 36 is the lowest score for the year. That was on Saturday, 7th February by Youth and Sports Raiders. And who do you think they defeat 84-36? Sandy Point Falcons. Falcons out the SP where the best be. And some people, they don't like, some people don't like to hear me say SP where the best be, But it is a fact, ladies and gentlemen. We believe with all our hearts, Sandy Point is the number one, the best community in St. Kitts. And that's why we say SP where the best be. And the town of Sandy Point. So a lot of people don't like it, but we can't ignore facts. And when we say the best be, some people might think we mean the best at the top. No, we're not just the best at the top, We're the best that we was to be going. We're going some of the worst people around. So it's the best of both worlds. And of course, you have people in between. And a little bit of history, a lot of people may not know it. And I was in a conversation a few days ago and I mentioned it and persons were shocked. And I'm subject to correction. Sandy Point, we are the second town in St. Kitts. And we were actually the most developed town out of Bastia. Old Road. Bastia wasn't in nothing long time, They only come in something lately. Old Road was the first town in St. Kitts. Old Road is where Sir Thomas Warner landed in. He came 1623, I think it was. Scouted out the island, came back in 1624 to colonize St. Kitts. And he landed at Old Road in 1624. So, and for whatever reason, I guess he developed that area, access to the port, etc. Old Road was the first town in St. Kitts. Sandy Point was the second town in St. Kitts. The only thing that Sandy Point didn't have as Bastia is the airport. We had a seaport, and that seaport was a major seaport for St. Kitts. We have police station, we have hospital, we have bank, we have health centers, we had fire station. The only thing we didn't really have is the airport. And who knows, maybe when we get independence, we will have an airport. And I don't know, maybe that's when I come Prime Minister. I don't know, I'm only kidding, folks. I am only kidding, don't take me serious, tall, please. But going back to some serious politics, Sandy Point, we were the capital of the Leeward Islands, the administrative capital of the Leeward Islands. That's back in the 16 whatever. Some persons who know Sandy Point may know of Downing Street. If you're coming from Bastia via Old Road, when you hit Mount Tidal by where Benjax is, there's a fork in the road. When you keep going right, you're traveling on the island main road, going right around the island. When you go left, you go what we call the lower way. And just at the back of Benjax, we call the 42nd Street. And once you keep going down, you're going to pass a little ditch in the road and you go down further. Just the ditch, there's Apostolic Faith right on your left-hand side. And that's the first road going down there by Apostolic Faith. We call that road Backway. And there was a fort down there, you know. There was a fort down at the end of Backway. I think it was Fort James. Sakoti would be able to confirm that. So we actually had 3 forts in Sandy Point, eh? Brimstone Hill. Actually, you know, 4. Brimstone Hill, Fort Charles, Charles Fort, and Fort James. Charles Fort, and forgive me, I know this is not a history lesson, we're talking sports, but hey, it's all about educating people. There's Brimstone Hill, the Gibraltar of the Caribbean World Heritage Site. Just below that, there is, I never could get this right, Fort Charles, which was the Hanson home. That was actually a fort. And you go down, I mentioned Backway, that was Fort James. And if you go further down by Fig Tree, above Fig Tree, there was Charles Fort. So if the Hanson home was Fort Charles, down behind Fig Tree was Charles Fort, or vice versa. But when you pass the Apostolic Faith, you take the second left. That road is called Downing Street. Does it ring a bell? Downing Street. It was named Downing Street by the English because in England, number 10 Downing Street is where the Prime Minister of England lives. Number 10 Downing Street. Is he live there? That's the headquarters. But anyway, number 10 Downing Street. So that street in Sandy Point was called Downing Street. And when you take a left, go down Downing Street, there's a building that's broken down right on the corner. Then you're going to meet the Seventh-day Adventist Church, which is, I think, the second building. The third building, a wooden building, it's 3 stories. That was the government headquarters of the Leeward Islands. The administrative building, government headquarters, whatever you want to call it. And again, these are not my opinions. These are facts. Check out the history. And the amount of time I said, and I guarantee a lot of people in Sandy Point are not too familiar with it. Eh? Never mind people outside Bastia. But anyway, still back to SP where the best be, 36, the lowest score. And the next lowest score is what? After 36, we have 38. Youth and Sports Raiders out of Nevis. And Saturday gone, they defeat St. Thomas Trinity 85-38, which is St. Thomas Trinity is a new kid on the block. Congratulations, welcome. So since we're here on Saturday 21st, that's Saturday gone there, right? The last set of matches were played. That's round 9, week 9, and they have double headers each night. And this was the end of the first round and the start of the second round. Ending the first round, Youth and Sports Raiders defeated St. Thomas Trinity United 85-38. That's the end of the first round. The start of the second round, and that game was in Nevis. And I like the idea games are played in Nevis. And so far for this season, according to my records, only 2 games have been played in Nevis. And if I'm looking at the fixture, there's one other game to be played in Nevis. And I think consideration should be given to that. Same thing with Bath. I think all teams, there are 2 rounds. And the teams must play one of their matches in Nevis. Now, when we look at it mathematically, for Youth and Sports Raiders to be coming down, there are how many teams in the competition? 6. So there are going to be 10 matches, 5 per round. And then you got the playoffs. So could you imagine, and I mentioned out of the 10, only 3 matches I'm seeing in Nevis. So Youth and Sports Raiders got to come down 7 times. They played Sandy Point Falcons in Nevis. So that's only one Sandy Point Falcons got one team going Nevis. Then they played St. Thomas Trinity United in Nevis. So that's only 2 teams. So only 3 teams will have 1 expense of going to Nevis. But Youth and Sports Raiders got 7 different expenses coming down to play. So perhaps they should look at it, and that's something I support with football as well. But anyway, when we look at it, the start of the second round, ASC Jayhawks, and from my records, Jayhawks ain't lose the match yet, yeah. Them man got a perfect record, but they're not only losing a match, they're blowing out everybody, really. Before come to the second round, Jayhawks' first game to start the season, they beat Boardwalk Uprisers 96-57. Then they beat, second game, they beat Youth and Sports Raiders. The next round of matches, 72-67. And then The fourth round of matches, Saturday 7th, they beat St. Thomas Trinity 94-53. And that's 3 wins, 4 wins. They beat St. Paul's Tough Nuts 116-56. And the 5th game in round 1, they beat Sandy Point Falcons 87-52. So they've been blowing away these scores, big scores. And then they started round 2, defeating St. Paul's Tough Nuts 84-66. So these guys been blowing away everybody. And what I could tell you today, Tuesday the 24th February at 6 p.m., right now at Dorset, the game should be finishing, just about finished. The same Jayhawks, ASC Jayhawks, playing Youth and Sports Raiders in Nevis. I don't know if Boxy might be able, or somebody would be able to get the scores to us so we could bring you live on and hot off the press. And then we have coming up, the second game on Tuesday tonight at Dorset, St. Thomas Trinity United at 7:30 p.m., which is any time now, it may have started. St. Thomas Trinity versus St. Paul's Tough Nuts. On Thursday 26th coming up, that's next Thursday in a couple of days, again at Dorset at 6 p.m. Sandy Point Falcons versus Youth and Sports Raiders, and in the feature game at 7:30 p.m., Boardwalk Uprisers versus St. Thomas Trinity United. So exciting basketball, go on out and support the youngsters. And we're expecting a guest at 7:30. Boy, I got to apologize to the guest because I hear banging my big mouth and the guest is already 7:38. So perhaps the guest is holding. Let's take a break and we'll go and sort out that to find out if the guest is there. And I thank him for being there and I thank him for his patience. But let us take a break and we're going to sort him out and get back to you. So stick and stay. Don't go away. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell everybody. And we will be back.
Do you want to know what's happening in sport? Tune in to On the Ball, a weekly talk show which is on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. with me, your host, Troy Bif Mills. We will keep you on the ball with our variety of guests and, of course, your calls, discussing the facts and the stats and sharing your opinions. Get on the ball and stay on the ball by tuning into On the Ball with Troy Bif Mills on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. and also on Facebook and YouTube. Be on the ball.
Thank you, Raspi. Thank you. Welcome back to another edition of On the Ball if you're just joining us. On the Ball here at WINN FM 98.9. I am Troy Bif Mills, your host. And hey, we have our guest on the line, and we're going to touch base with him and just make sure he's there. Are you there, sir? Hello, are you there? Oh, boy, something happened. And we can set it up again anyway. While we do that, there's something I didn't do, which I ought to have done, which I do every time. And it's to extend those persons who celebrating birthdays, extend happy birthday to them. I didn't do that. So those who are celebrating birthdays today, happy birthday to you. Those who are celebrating anniversaries, happy anniversary to you. And, of course, those who are going through a period of bereavement, we say happy birthday, forgive me, condolences to you and your family. And in saying that, we're reminded of the late Carl Bif, a sportsman and administrator. He was president of the St. Kitts Cricket Association for a period. I know that. I understand he was president of the St. Kitts Football Association. That I don't remember. I know he was also a referee. He was chairman of the referees committee, the football referees committee. And when it comes to the Haynes Smith Cricket Club, he was the man behind Haynes Smith Cricket Club, paying for the transportation, carrying players. And from what I gathered, he paid as well for the lunches, the meals for the two-day cricket. So what we are going to do in respect, from a WINN FM point of view, from an on-the-ball point of view, and from yours truly, we are going to, before we extend condolences, we are going to observe a moment of silence. We cannot do a minute of silence because we are live on air. So the next best thing is to do a moment of silence where we won't have any broadcast, just for a short while, a couple seconds, as a mark of respect for the contribution of the late Carl Rees Liebert, the work that he would have done, and he was a lawyer by profession, the work that he would have done in the sporting arena here in St. Kitts Nevis, and by extension, the Leeward Islands. So may we please observe a moment of silence. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and I do apologize for any inconveniences you would have had there with that moment, but it was necessary. And on behalf of the management staff and board of directors of WINN FM 98.9, we extend, and also on behalf of the On the Ball program, and yours truly, Troy Bif Mills, sports journalist, we extend condolences to the family of the late Carl Rees Liebert, and we are immediately remembering his sister, the Governor General of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dame Marcella Liebert. We are also remembering his brother, Junie Liebert, of Freedom FM, 106.5 FM, and to his other family members. So we extend condolence. Okay, we extend condolences to them, the family, friends, the corporate, the love fraternity, as well as his community. May his soul rest in peace, and he will never ever really be forgotten for the many contributions he made and the good times the family had. And may they find strength, comfort, peace, and joy in the fact that he served his community, his country, cricket, the region, the love fraternity, and the many fun moments he would have had. May his soul rest in peace. Back again now, and we have our caller online. We have our guest online, Raspi. And I think, yes, he is there. Good evening, sir. Welcome to On the Ball here at WINN FM 98.9.
Yes, I can hear everything here.
And I'm hearing you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. You sound like a certain road march band from down in the West. Can you hear me now? Yes, I'm hearing you loud and clear, sir. And how are you tonight, sir?
As I said before, I'm almost all right. Still recovering from some health issues.
Oh, okay. Well, glad to hear. Sad to hear that you had health issues. Glad to hear you're recovering. And thank you for making yourself available with us. But do you mind telling us who you are, sir, please?
Well, I don't mind telling that I am Coach Bo Edwards from Keon.
Okay, that is wonderful.
Opposite side to SP with the best be.
Ah, yes, yes. I love that. SP with the best be. We don't have a lot of people the wrong way when you say, Coach Bo. But thank you and welcome to the On the Ball program. You're no stranger here. This is not the first time you've been here, and we appreciate that.
No.
But tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Well, I'm a retiree now. Retired from government service. I did a number of years in government service, and I ended being a senior professional within the last 10 years. That's 2015 to 2020. I served as permanent secretary for training in agriculture. Outside of that, my passion and love has always been football, and so I've done a lot of training in coaching and coach education. So I'm an agriculturist coach, but it's bluntly.
So therefore, when you played cricket as a cricketer, you wore a fluke then?
Train a thing.
Oh, I love that. Train a thing. Well, thank you for...
Yes, and as you mentioned cricket, that is my went back to Carl Rees Liebert with a lot of clashes. He was the glue behind the Haynes Smith Cricket Club, and we met him playing. I played for school, I played for Keon, and He was a mildly mean medium pacer with a big in swing. And he just refused to out when he came to bat.
Stubborn.
He batted down the order like 6, 7, 8. And when we moved the top batsman like Swaggy and them, in come Carly's leg, but refusing to out.
Carrying the match.
Fondly remembered in that regard.
Oh, I understand. And we don't see them like that anymore, really, you know. Guys going and it's looking like they're eager to go back into the pavilion, swinging here, poof, 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 a quick fire 20.
They like the walk. They enjoy the walk to and from.
Yes, and we really lack that, even at the West Indies level, eh? We don't see that Shandapal grit now going there and the Jimmy Adams fight. They might back a hole there to make 37 or 43 or something, but they're still there at the end. So, football, sorry, you were saying something?
No, I agree with you.
Oh, okay. So in the football arena, we've been hearing all kind of things happening over on the eastern end of the island, Green Valley to it, Keon, and you're heavily involved in it. Could you tell us a little about that, please? What's happening?
Well, let's put it succinctly. It's not all kind of things. I've started a football school, not an academy, not a grassroots program. It's a football school. And as the name implies, it's football and school. And so I've invited youngsters, not just from Keon, but the extended Green Valley, to join me every Sunday afternoon at sports to have both football and school. So we're going to have schoolwork, you're going to bring along your homework and get assistance. Any area that you're getting trouble in, we have the people to help in that regard. And of course, the rudiments and tenets of football will be exposed by myself and a few other coaches.
That's so.
In a nutshell, that's it. We started about 2 weeks ago with a launch, and then we had a first active session last Sunday, about 2 days ago.
That's interesting. So, what sort of age range you're catering for?
6 to 16.
Boy, I just missed out on that, boy. I just
your last but they mess you up.
So my son, do you
6
cater
to
for
16 boys and girls.
Well, I was just going to ask that. Thanks for clarifying. So my daughter, who just a few weeks made 17. If I bring her, are you going to take her, or are you going to tell a girl, no, you're too old?
At 17, we'll find things for her to do.
Oh, wonderful.
In fact, the one committed coach that I have is a 17-year-old guy.
Whoa, 17. That's wonderful.
Yes. So yes, we'll find things for the. We have plenty of work.
Okay, I like the sound of that. And you mentioned an age range. So do you have them classified in 6 and 7s and 8s and 9s or whatever? Or you have
that is the eventual intention. At the moment, it's our first active session. Everybody was picking up boys and girls, varying ages. We had about 10 and then 3, about 13 people in all. 7 and 6.
Okay.
But eventually, as I suspect it will grow, we'll put them into categories. The tinier ones, 5 to 7, 8 to 10, 11 to 12, and then the rest. So we have about 4 categories in each gender.
What?
That is the intention ultimately. It may not be ideal as we go, but we'll make the changes accordingly as the people come.
Well, a lot of times in life, the hardest thing is the start, eh? It's like
that's what they keep telling me.
A motor vehicle is at rest. Nothing is happening. And even if you push it, you may not be able to start it, but it starts rolling. It starts moving. And when you start moving, you could jump in and kick. You could push all the way, or you could pick it up, or whatever the case is. So, and then the Chinese, they have a saying, a proverb: the longest journey begins with the first step. Because if you stand where you are, you'll never get any place. And according
to... We have made 2 steps so far.
Wonderful.
One with the launch. The Ministry of Sports was there. Pastor Tuckett from the Reformation Fellowship Church, he blessed the proceedings. Tuckett, a former national player, former national player in both cricket and football and track.
Yes, indeed.
And now he has turned his life over to the Lord and been preaching for a number of years now, his own church.
And nothing wrong with mixing.
The director of sports was there. I spoke to the Minister of Sports who said he couldn't make it. He had a prior engagement. I did not prefer that engagement. He would have been there, but he has given his commitment. And I will be calling upon him for more assistance.
That is wonderful indeed. And the good thing about these things...
And one more thing I want to mention, Venom also sent a representative.
Venom,
that's an academy. That's an academy which is slightly different from a school. They are looking for the elitists of football to put into a program, yes, elite of the elite, to put into their program and for overseas contractual arrangements.
Venom, that's the group that would have sent 4 or 5 persons off on scholarships recently, 3, 4, 5?
Correct, that is correct.
Oh, that is interesting. And you wonder, one, how come this isn't done on a much larger scale in different fraternities, table tennis, track and field, basketball. They do that, but you don't hear much about it. And 2, Venom is not the National Association. It's an entity operating.
No, it's led by, I think his name is Belgrove, Women.
Okay.
Women Belgrove, we support people like that and Brown and Lenny Lee.
Okay.
Vince Nelson.
And talking about Vince, one of the...
So they are focusing on the academic side of it, and the extent of their contribution and their one was that they're willing to partner with us. Because as you can tell, once a football school is over, you would have some creme de la creme coming, and if we don't have any place to put them, then we can lean on Venom to take them from B to A and from A to A plus.
Okay, that sounds good. What caused you to get into this area, though, Al? Opening a school, operating
I think it started with my illness. During recovery, I was only able to go out on the veranda, and I live on Hamilton Street, which is a trunk road to the Cairn High School and overlooking the primary school. And so at the afternoons, we would hear their relations, you would listen the shouts from the primary school and see how the young guys interact with each other. And it dawned on me that something is missing. And in reflection, I wondered, how could I help? And I said, well, I have the perfect tool, football. This is the vehicle, this is the car that I could use to influence the lives of the young men who are passing by me every afternoon. Some don't even say good afternoon. They come by the bottom of the top of their back of their knees, and the language is unbecoming. And this is not what somebody told me, this is what I've heard myself in my gallery as they pass to and from to the Cairn High School, or as they pass, or as they interact in the Cairn Primary School.
Wow.
I think that's the initial part of it, and that's the main part of it. And the second part of it is that I noticed, probably island-wide, and I can't say for the Newton here because they don't have a gold academy down here. But by and large, there's no one focusing attention on training youth in the rudiments of football. In fact, Taiwan election recognize the same dose of attention among youth. And he has also started a program during the week, Mondays to Thursdays. So we look to collaborate with him. In fact, we already started collaboration. And so it's almost like a continuation with the youth in the afternoon with Thai and on Sundays with the football school. The only difference is that the football school has the educational component to it in terms of helping the guys with their schoolwork and so on.
And that... Sorry, you were continuing?
I was saying tremendous kudos to Thai Lachlan. He's ever so hard-working community resident. Never stops working.
You're listening to On the Ball here at WINN FM 98.9. with your host, Troy Bif Mills. We have the pleasure and honor on having on the program, live via technology, audio to it, Mr. Alistair Coachibu Edwards, retired permanent secretary of the government of St. Kitts and Nevis in the agricultural department, the agricultural ministry, as well as former vice president of the St. Kitts and Nevis Football Association. And he's now opening a football school in the Green Valley area, the eastern belt of the island. And we have him here telling us all about it. Of course, we're going to pick his brain about football too, you know. The under-20 team that's currently playing, not doing well. They lost the first match to Puerto Rico 2-1, and they're up against some stiff competition. But we're talking about the school. Remind us of the name of your school again, please, Coach Ibu.
It's the Green Valley Football School. Green Valley Football School. And the contact number is 762-3134. You don't have to be from Green Valley to attend, as Biff from Saturday Point will bring over his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
We meet Sunday afternoons at 4, and our focus is football and school.
How long does it run from? 4 to 5, 6, 7? And
It's
what is
normally
the
an hour and a half.
And when do you do the
So by
schooling
5:30,
element?
by 5:30, the kids are ushered back home to their parents.
And when do you do the schooling element, the academic part of the school, so to speak? The technical part, the football part, runs from when to when?
Yes, the intention is for the first half an hour or so, we'll be focused on things like schoolwork. And then once we're satisfied that you understand and over whatever problem you brought, then you head out to the football field.
I understand that. I like that. And the activities taking place again, remind us, please, where? Not the activities taking place. I know it's in Green Valley, but where in Green Valley is?
It's at the St. Mary's. It's at the St. Mary's Pavilion in New Big Field.
Okay, that's just when you're coming from Bastille. It's on the right hand
Yes,
side.
yes.
And you notice.
And as time go on, we have Thursday afternoon slated for just only schoolwork.
Oh.
And then that's the Thursday afternoon when school finishes early. We will start at 5 and go down as far as possible. But Thursday, no football, just schoolwork. But I already have commitment of several former teachers from the area, and I know who won't say no.
You're cheating, you know, Coach, but you look like you're watching on my paper, because I was going to ask the question. Any plans to expand further any other days? But
Yes.
you're
We discuss it with the children and the parents in terms of what other days possible. But definitely Thursday, when they finish early, is one for just schoolwork, no football.
I could understand why we are not getting much further than we are, perhaps much further than we would like. And there are various factors. Resources, chances are that's one of the key factors, and resources that's broken down to all kind of things. Financial, human, facilities. I remember I was doing some telephone training. I think it was in Texas. And this is back in 1988 when I worked for Scantel. And a Saturday morning, me and my colleagues, I don't know if we were going chicksing or we were going to a show or something, but we took a bus ride. And ever so often we'll pass these vast fields big like Kehan, big like the whole of Sandy Point, where you see like 20-something football matches going on. And I'm not kidding, I'm not exaggerating, like 20-something football matches. And when you look, you see parents over here and parents over there and little tents here and there and things like that. And these were the under 9s, under 13s, under this, under that, boys and girls, eh? And after which, they'll have this little picnic outing, and then everybody, though they are foes, they're friends because they play each other over the years and they grow with their children. And we've seen that tremendous support from the families, and it happens out there, and I suspect not only in the U.S. I know you did mention you're reaching out to them, but in terms of that active participation, how do you foresee that going to be happening with the parents of your children, especially the dads?
Well, I can say the success of a football school depends on the input of the parents. I spoke to somebody the other day and they were asking me if I'm going to charge anything. I said, no, there's no financial charge, but there's a value that can be gained from a strong parent-coach association. That is what we're aiming for in terms of fueling the school. If that doesn't exist, I'm afraid that the school will fall. It's imperative that we get that sort of connection going. There's no doubt that that's the critical mean of success, the key critical factor.
I remember way back when, maybe 2010, 11, 12, Lenny Lake was the technical director of the SKNFA at that point, I think, and they were having strong on the 15s, on the 13, 17 programs. And I remember the under 15 team, I think it was the under 15 group program. The parents were quite active in that, having fundraisers. I think that team was the team that went to St. Martin, and you had parents going along with them, volunteering, raising funds to go along with them. And you're so correct. The involvement of the parents in the program, that is a big factor in the success of the program. And we also have the additive of the children looking on and playing, and when they look up, they see mommy, especially if they see mommy and daddy. You know, they feel so proud and things like that. And I could remember the days of going along with my daughter, the second one who was an athlete. I guess she got her skills from her mother, I don't know. And representing representing Sandy Point High. And that joy on her face, and I believe it gives them a little more encouragement to try and do a little better. And I remember this particular moment at an I think it's inter-high school, and in the earlier stages, Sandy Point High, I think it was Sandy Point High then. She was running in the relay in lane 8, a 4x1. And she got the baton about third or fourth. Not a lie. How it was? She was in lane 7. So obviously had somebody in lane 8. She got the baton third or fourth. And when she handed over the baton, she was basically in first just by a And after the race, she came and she apologized to me. She told me, Daddy, I tried to catch the person in front of me who was in lane 8, but I didn't catch them, because her thing was, because she was in the, what do you call them, the stagger, or she was staggered, the person, yes, the person in lane 8 would be about 3, 4, 5 meters ahead. And she not only closed the gap on the person, but she handed over the baton first, so Sandy Boy was leading, but she could not have realized that until you get on the straight. And she felt bad about it, and I explained to her, and she felt good. And knowing she was able to come to me, I felt good about that extremely thing, especially since I know she got the skills from the mother and things like that. And, you know, I would have been trying to do my little coaching here and there. And so it's key, it's important that either parent, but particularly both parents, go on out and support it. And, you know, Coach, it really prides my heart when I see whether he's walking with the mother, but the father holding a little baby, whether the mother is there or not. I find a lot of pride in that. And I normally tell, hey guy, I'm glad to see you, and I hope that continues even when they're a teenager, as opposed to ending shortly after. And you made a point, which I like, the volunteers in the academic point of view, because it's unfortunate, but I suspect in the Caribbean that a lot of our top athletes are not really strong academically. And
well, it shows.
Sorry?
Every time they get out there and they open their mouth, it shows that they're not something academically.
Yes, and I'm not
and so that is a gap. That is a gap we would want to fill.
And I'm talking about not just football, cricket, basketball, track and field. I've experienced it. I've interviewed persons and I'm like, you know, when you have a nail in your hand and you scrape it on a metal, you get this chill, what they say, your blood stand up or something like that. That's the kind of thing you get when they talk. And I'm going back, and I mentioned earlier 2010-11, and that was under the presidency of the late Anthony Johnson. Yes, where I think it was Ambassador Christine Walwyn. She wasn't an ambassador then, but she is now, and I learned today she's now the ambassador for CARICOM. And I think she had a not so pleasant experience, and she actually suggested that they have that program of the training, and it went down well. They started doing it, and it went down well, and that is something that has to be continuous, because when it comes to interviews, once ago they used to interview the captain, but now they're not interviewing the captain; they're interviewing the best performer on the day. And so that is something that we have to actually work on. We actually have to look at. So it's not just the sports, it's not just the academic element of it. We have to get our athletes, in my view, interview ready. And in speaking to Percy Sly Daniel about the Leeward Islands female team, I had to commend him on the work they were doing, because I heard some interviews and I was very much impressed with the respondents, the cricketers. And he said what they have been doing. The players themselves, they have been conducting interviews with their other colleagues. So it gives them an opportunity to be on the other end of the mic. And that has helped. And that is a program that we really need to do. And who knows, even from that simple act, some of these athletes may get into media. You could never tell. But I like what you're doing, and it's going to go. If it weren't for two things, I would have contributed from perhaps the academic element. That is, and the two things are: one, if I had transportation, I would have been able to shuttle myself over, but I don't have a transportation at the moment. And two,
that's easy.
And two, if I wasn't living as far as in SP where the best be, which is smack 16 miles half around the island from you, 15 miles one direction, 16 the other way, I probably would have been volunteering already to be part of the program. But like I said, too easy. We could probably sit and work something out. But I like that idea.
You have not presented a serious problem. Distance and time, we can overcome those.
Okay. I like that. And I know it just a telephone call between us, you could work out something.
Yeah.
And of course, note I said
you
volunteer.
You have to leave an hour before. If you make it 4, you leave at the point at 10 to 3, and you'll be there.
That's easy. And you don't finish too late for me, so I can't get home at midnight or whatever. I'll have to be home at midnight. So that's too easy.
Course.
And the mere fact that I taught for 2 years at Sandy Point High School when I left, and I also taught the sciences. I taught general science, mathematics, biology, and CSEC physics. I think I might be in a kind of area, have some capabilities to reach out to the little ones. And I don't know if that's your experience. My experience has been generally, and it's not only in St. Kitts, mathematics seems to be a serious problem, a serious challenge.
Yes,
a lot of challenge.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's generally in the Caribbean, we don't know. They've done studies, haven't come up with the reasons, but they're going to say that 2 out of every 3 kids would have problems with maths. They don't know what is the root cause of it, but it's, as you see, maths teachers are never broke. They teach in school and they offer other classes at afternoon, and they're always filled.
Yeah, and it seems like it never for them. It's so much so that I really thought about getting it. I passed mathematics at O level. I didn't attempt it at the A, but I've thought a few times about perhaps doing a little thing, especially for primary school mathematics in Sandy Point and the environs. And I thought about it, and that's as far as it got. I never thought seriously about really doing it, really helping. But maybe that's something I'll need to do. But it's always a challenge. But I suspect, Al, part of the problem is algebra. The X and the Y's and the P's and the Q's. And from my experiences, what I tell people, you're doing algebra since you're small, but you just don't know. When your mother gives you $20 and she tell you, Al, go to the shop for me, please. Buy a tin of milk, a pound of sugar, and the rest money change come back, you buy saltfish. That is algebra. The rest change coming back is the X. You're going to know why let me put it, why a tin of milk costs $1. Z, a pound of sugar costs $2, that's $3. So therefore, the X is going to be the $17 for the saltfish. How much a pound you're going to work out that at the shop? And that's as simple as algebra could get. And I believe that is what turns us off a lot. But so be it. But before we pick your brain, football on the national level, any final things, please remind us again about your school.
Green Valley Football School. We meet on Sundays at 4 for the time being. The football school is simply football and school. Well, school first and football, open to anybody who can make it there, not necessarily Green Valley alone. The contact number is 762-3134. Again, 762-3134. You get it in English, you get it in Creole.
Okay.
Work in English.
I appreciate that. And congratulations.
And we do have room for more kids, and as well as persons who like to coach, mentor, just assist. We can find things for you to do. Have lots of bullet points.
And that's wonderful. Remind us of the number to call again, please.
762-3134. I also have WhatsApp, so you can send a text message.
And the age range, again, you're looking at primarily?
Age range is 6 to 16, boys and girls.
So the two children, you mentioned the Green Valley area. And what?
Keon, Keys, Lodge, Atlas, the whole of the kids.
Okay.
Nevis, and I did say Angola because I have a cousin who is a coach in Angola who said he wants to bring along his child.
Okay.
And his child, he's of St. Kitts parentage, but lives in Angola. And so when he brings home his kids, they will come to the Green Valley Football School.
Okay.
So I did say St. Kitts, Nevis, and Angola. You're free to come. We have lots of space.
That's super. And you said my son over in Tabernacle and my daughter in Sadlers, I could bring them along as well? Not because they're not primarily in that Green Valley belt?
Well, as long as in the federation, the Green Valley Football School is just the name, but you're open to everybody.
Okay, that's wonderful.
In fact, there are two registered kids from Bastille.
Oh, okay. That's wonderful. So you're taking anybody once they come, they reach. And if I don't register with my child and I just happen to be driving there on this Sunday at this time, I could drop off my children without registering previously or prior to that?
Correct. The only danger is that they're going to like it, they're going to have fun, so they're going to want to come back.
Okay. And that's what it's all about. Now, Al, thank you a lot for talking to us about that. And we congratulate you on that initiative. I don't think we could have enough of that in the Federation, and I believe a lot more of that is needed to create that, especially from that grassroots level, to get our youngsters go into the teenage and the various aged categories. And once they start...
Well, I understand there's one going to start very shortly in the village area.
Mm-hmm.
People like Spuddy and Ken Onisquili have been talking to me, and they want to start in the village area as well. So we wouldn't mind if they're about maybe 10 or 12 around the country, and then we collaborate into these various football schools.
And were something like that to happen, would you guys consider having friendly matches Your 9-year-old on against Village on
yes and no. Yes, in the sense that we have a little exchange program in the form of matches or whatever. But I have a clause in there that leaves the competitive nature side of it to the KR football club.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I promise myself not to clash with their program in terms of competitive matches.
Okay.
We will add to their program but not subtract from it.
That
if they
makes
have
a lot of
ongoing
sense.
on the 13 team or on the 15 team, we won't attempt to have a separate one. And hence we'll allow the players to play for and compete with and for the KR Football Club.
And
rather than have the Green Valley Football School and KR and on the 13. We just don't have enough resources. And I think up front, I've made it clear that when it comes to competition, especially at the national level, it should compete as KR and Football Club.
okay.
And I suspect really that most of the balls will come from the KR area in terms of logistics. And so I think it's best that we won't have that competitive edge. But of course, we'll have exchange programs if we have two, three, four football schools around the island. We definitely want to have an official competition exchange programs. You visit me, I visit you, kind of thing. And the game is the best teacher, so we'll probably use games in that respect.
Always. And speaking about the Keons, taking a look at the Premier Division, the SKNFA's 2025-2026 season, the Premier Division, all kinds of things are going on, Al. Some for a lot of positives for some clubs, a lot of not so positives for other clubs, including your club, the club from your region, the Green Valley, Azul Keon Rockets. They were up as far as second or third earlier in the year. They now find themselves down in sixth. And there are some 18 points off of the leading pace. There are 16 points, Old Road, Montreal Farms, Clean Rights United, Old Road Jets, the leaders who haven't lost a match yet. They've won 11 matches, drawn one after 12 rounds of matches. They are on 34 points. The good news for Keon is, however, they are just 2 points behind the fourth and fifth place. Fifth, we have Development Bank St. Peter's on 18. And what we consider the creep-up team, Al, the back-to-back defending champions, SL Horsford's St. Paul's United, all on 18 points in fourth. They are on a better goal difference ahead of St. Peter's, a better goal difference. But that is not the real story. The real story is that St. Paul's United, they were docked 6 points for disciplinary actions from the start of the season. So they started at -6 even before the league started. And then they've spent a few rounds, in the cellar position, number 10, and they've crept up, and they keep on creeping up, and now they are in fourth. Now they are in the top 4, and I don't believe they're going to stop there. And while they're up, your team, Keon, is going down. So how do you sum up all of that?
Well, I cannot speak extensively to this situation, just maybe superficially.
Okay.
Because I have not followed, for reasons which we probably will not get into, I have not followed in depth the football over the last couple of years. However, what I can say on the surface is that St. Paul's, I'm not surprised at all at St. Paul's. One of my football sons still plays for St. Paul's, and whenever we relate, indicates to me that there's a culture of wanting to win, wanting it badly down there. And that is what has kept him down there for years. He's from KR, but he played for St. Paul's for several years. He started with me as a youngster, was 11 or 12. His mother was one who was very cooperative and supportive of the youth program. In fact, she just called me child father because she literally gave him to me. And what he has related to me is that it's a culture down there. And then They were Stoke the Bear, poke the Bear. Last year when they had some problems with the association, and they really came out to play with a purpose. On the other hand, just recently I spoke to one of those top 6 teams, the coach of one of those top 6 teams. And he said to me, yesterday afternoon, 2 persons showed up to practice. 1, 2. And they're supposed to be a contending team. They might be in 6th or 7th place. 1, 2 persons showed up to practice.
Contending team.
For Keon, I think Keon has lacked a clinical striker over the years, and that has been their downfall. They go down 1-0, 2-0, not being able to get that oomph, that edge to get an extra goal.
And it is worse now that what's his name has gone to Lodge. Vince Why.
Yes, Nelson's gone to play for Lodge. And Matthew has left Canary and gone to play for Lodge. And so you see the results of those 2 quality players in the Lodge team among a competition that cannot take them down. Lodge is leading the Division 1 table at the moment, I think.
Correct, most correct. And they started out.
So that too is not surprising. But for those that lead in the Premier League, Old Road, that's an investment in youth, and the youth coming to full now. Simply put, Newtown is the injection of those Haitians. Haiti has a higher brand of football than
easily.
I think the culture there is football first and everything else after.
Even
so
religion, unfortunately.
Not just 2 Haitians. I think it's 3 Haitians that control their midfield. The team is going to give trouble from the time you see those wasn't on the field. Period.
So that is
And
responsible
then the regular quality with Village and St. Peter's, they have some marquee players there that would push them through. So it's going to be competitive among those top 5, 6, 7 teams. But if you don't give the commitment of wanting to train, you won't get through. Simple as that.
Well, you mentioned, and one of the things, the greatest support is the 13th player, they call it.
Yes.
And let us hear a clip from one of the big fans out of St. Paul. Well, they have so many number of fans, but let us hear from this particular one.
I say, St. Paul's to be at the bottom of the table at the end of the day. Final 4 belong to our and St. Paul's won the park. St. Paul's won the park. So St. Paul's, there's no park.
Please, Mr. Toughhouse, I like to hear that. The passion. And it's a video clip, so if you could have only seen that passion. You want the clip again, DJ?
I say, St. Paul's to be at the bottom of the table at the end of the day. Final 4 belong to our and St. Paul's won the park. St. Paul's won the park. So St. Paul's, there's no park.
That is passion, and it comes from a female, not a male, a female. And I think she has had, I can't remember the name. I think she has had a few sons playing through St. Paul's over the years, and one of them, I think, playing at the senior level now. This is a sports lady because she's also a member of the national domino team. She went to Antigua for the World Championship they had there a few weeks ago. And so she is a national champion. And that's the spirit of St. Paul's. St. Paul's today remind me of Newtown a few years ago. It's dangerous. It was dangerous to play against Newtown.
The community behind you, yeah.
But it's more dangerous. Newtown is more dangerous when you score on them. And St. Paul's reminds me something like that. They are very dangerous to play against, But when you score on them, they're even much more dangerous. Yes, of course, sometimes they lose. But, you know, as soon as you score, they up the game 1 or 2 gears. And that is something, if we had that passion with all the teams. Some teams are playing a little more passive, and some don't have the drive of that 13th man, in this case, woman. But it's interesting. And that is a drive. But then there was a point when football and all the other sporting disciplines, the teams, the clubs, and some clubs are not really clubs, they are teams because of especially the structure, they would have started as a mix-up. You would have had, say football, you had Del Monte Rovers from way back when. And as I speak of that, there was a gentleman who worked at Koori. I can't remember his name. Koori, I think they were the agents for Del Monte back then. And he was in charge of it, of them, and he's passionate boy. I don't know if he was a Byron, I can't remember. But you would have had persons from different parts of the country playing for Del Monte Rovers and other teams in Bastia. And then we went community-wise. Only people from Keon were really playing from Keon. Only people from Sandy Point were playing from Sandy Point. And then you had two things happening. Players from Sandy Point falling out with Sandy Point. As an example, Al, or falling out with Keon and then moving to other teams. And also while they're moving away, other players, not from Sandy Point, not from Keon, moving into Sandy Point or Keon. Do you think that affects the progress of the team, the gelling, the networking? Do you think that affects the team one way or the other? Or any team that is?
I don't think so. It's a long time fact. It's just a matter of culture and love for community that's affected. But it doesn't affect the teamwork. My point as a coach has always been, once you get 14 men to practice consistently, no matter where they come from, as long as you get 14 men to practice consistently, it has nothing to do with whether you're from Mount Keelan come to Keon to train. In fact, there were some significant movements, transfers over the years. I remember the late Jason Gomes, God bless his soul. He moved from Newtown to play for Village. And that was a big, big upgrade. That was like, you know, leaving from one team to go to the enemy team. Because I was at the east, the Bastia Derby, which was the east part of St. Bastia versus the west part of Bastia. And then even the bigger one, the great George German Isaac left Keon and I went to St. Paul's. And we had brothers, Mikey Marius and Larry Bedford, who played for St. Peter's, even Keon. So I'm going back to my point. As long as you get 14 people on that field for a good 90 minutes, 5 days a week, one match day, one rest day, the GLND team should not be affected.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And
I'm not getting into the people who say, oh, you're not from here, so you don't play as hard. That's nonsense.
And, well, there's a calypso by this and that, entitled Calypso Prostitute. And I've heard some persons referred to some of the players moving from team to team as football prostitutes. And because they are thinking, yes, they're going, and especially if they're getting a little sugar cake, a little stipend, I don't know if that is correct. Yes, so they're really going for that. And some of them, they don't really want to work for their place on the team. These are comments I'm hearing, mind you, whether they're true or not, I'm not certain. And we've had cases where players, and Sandy Point has been a case, players leave Sandy Point, go to other teams, come back and leave Sandy Point a second time. And other players are playing out and then they've gone back home. Vince Roy Nelson, where's he from really? Is it the large region?
He lives in large project, yeah.
But he's from Keon?
No, he is in the Kean High School. He lives from Lodge proper.
Oh, okay. I always thought he was from Kean. So he has gone back home, so to speak, gone back home to roots.
Yeah, literally.
And perhaps, because I know something had to be keeping down in Lodge, because Lodge, I think they may have been last season. So to go from last in one season up to first in the next season, something tremendous had to be keeping there. And similarly to KFC Trinity Strikers.
Biff,
Yes,
sorry
sir.
to cut you short, but the point is, if you don't prepare to fail.
Of course.
And Lodge was a team that wasn't training until people like Javon Matthew and Vince Nelson started that kind of thing. I remember calling him, texting him one night in relation to the Green Valley Football School. He did not answer. And then by midnight, he sent a message saying, sorry, coach, I was at training. And this was like 7, 8 o'clock in the night when I sent the message.
Mm.
It means Lodge is training. And so the results will show. Previously, they would pass down Lodge and the field empty. And then whenever they come down, put a ball in the center and they learn nothing and they go out and they most likely were either mid-table or bottom half of the table last year. But the culture has changed. I want to firmly believe in training, preparing for your opponents, preparing to put in the best of your ability. And very often, we as coaches get disappointed. As I told you, this is a team that played in the Final Four last year. I can call their name because I'm not lying. Connolly. They played on the weekend. They played on Saturday. Lost 1-0 to Kean. Coach told them, okay, take tomorrow off and rest. That's Sunday. We start back training on Monday. And the coach went to tell me, 2 people there, 1, 2.
Uno,
There was
dos.
a squad that played 11 persons played on Saturday and only 2 persons committed to practice. 2, 1, 2.
Then that's not a good thing at all. Because especially in Kean, you're in 6th. Yes, you're 2 points off the pace, so to speak. Yes, you have 6 more matches to play.
No, the Kean team is training. I was pointing to the fact that the Kean needs some more of a clinical striker to go with their solid midfield and defense.
Your number 10, Marvin, it seems a lot is resting on his shoulder. Marvin
is more of a midfield player. He's not so much of a clinical striker.
Yeah, that is true. But the passion he has, the aggression, if he had perhaps at least...
That's not a natural part of it. If you know the guy, that's a natural part of him.
Okay. And I think that's part of the problem we have with our clubs in St. Kitts and not necessarily football, cricket, basketball, whatever. And maybe that's happening at the West Indies level, where you don't have 3, 4, 5, 6 players who all step up to the plate at the same time each game. And you might be in the 6th this game, but next game you might have not in that zone for whatever reason. And I, who may not have been in that top 6, I step up now. So there's always those 6 players who carrying the team on their backs for this match. It might be a completely 6 new players next match. But most times it comes down to just 1 or 2 players, really. Especially, as you're saying, no 2, 3 people in the back line or the half line or the one name, because the goalkeeper could be the strongest man on the field. But if them 10 players in front of him not doing a good job defending, then you might be going home with 0 all the time. So, but that's a good way to put it. And I think it has a lot of merit in it. And this is where, again, you mentioned earlier the grassroots element, and this is where your school comes in, and the importance of your school, in my humble view, on the football landscape. You mentioned Old Road, they are leading, and that is because of the what was the word you used? Not the input. Into the youth development. The energies, the resources they put into the youth development 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, whatever the case may be. And I'm wondering too, if you're not seeing something similar with Molyneux, Trevor Freights and Associates Molyneux. Because remember, they have not been to the Premiership as yet. Neither have Lodge. The way Lodge looking this year, they may very well be in the Premiership next season for the first time. But Molyneux, they've been sitting at the bottom of the table, some of the time losing 2, 3, 4 matches in a season by default. And that was before the deduction of 6 points for losing a game by default, not having a minimum of the minimum required players 7 came up. But now they're 4th, 5th, hanging in the mid-table for the last couple of years. And I remember when the coach, Kevin Williams, he was going with 15-year-old, 16-year-old, and I remember him telling me, "Boy, Biff."
You mean 10-year-olds and 9-year-olds?
I didn't want to go there. No. I didn't want to go down there because you're correct, you. You're correct. But his thing, "Boy, Biff," and this is what he used to tell me, "Boy, Biff, if I don't let the youth them come in football, they're going to go drink, smoke, gamble, and go break people out and whatever." And who could argue with a point against that, Al? And 2.
And I think that is a little more serious this year because they got the sponsors. The man Finney has gotten involved in terms of the management and so on of the team. They show up more often for the games. I don't think they've lost a game by default.
No, not at all.
For the first time in a long while. As long as you take the game serious, the results will show. Something like that. Is that a way to put it?
Yeah, that is true.
I'm happy for the Pitbull because especially during the late Anthony Johnson administration, we were really going through a lot.
Yes.
Not showing up for games. And apart from that, the reasons that they gave, we couldn't do much about it. They're saying that it was the gang culture that was in thinking that prevented them from going to some places. And the fact that they did not have a sponsor, they couldn't afford to catch a bus. So places like Newton Gong, they couldn't make it to Newton Gong to play a game. I don't want to have bus fee to get to Old Road to play against challengers.
And this is the reality, Al. It mightn't sound serious of any importance or a lot of importance to people, but this is the reality. And a lot of times the coaches would have to dig in their pockets to pay the bus fee. But then again, sometimes when the players come train, Al, maybe they ain't had no lunch, maybe some of them ain't had no breakfast, some of them ain't eat for the day. So you're the coach again, you got to be mother, father, great grandmother and whatever, and dig your hand in the pockets again to get a little something for them to eat. And it's unfortunate, but these are the realities. And I have to single them out because they've come a long way, and I've been talking about it in my sports program for 2-3 years now. They have come a long way, they have reorganized, and they are mid-table now. And they're holding their own. And there was actually...
Well, you're mentioning things that I have lived through as a coach. Sometimes they would call and say, "Coach, I can make it to practice, but we got money to go back home." And so the fact that a lot of these players who played for Cairn don't live in Cairn, at the end of practice, they just spoil into my pickup and have to take them home. Because they simply do not have the money to catch bus to go back home. And the club is not endowed with a transport system to take home players after practice. So I've lived and experienced what you're saying there. I can call many examples, but we're on here, so I'll just leave it at that.
But this development, that input, and I'm a strong supporter of the corporate unity getting involved, and I really believe on every opportunity, the corporate community needs the not the corporate community, the clubs, even the association need to really big up the sponsors, to put it mildly, for coming on board, because it's not a case of going to a company and say, hey, we want this amount of money, these are our plans, these are our programs, these are our expenses, our budget, what have you. And somebody going to say, okay, I'll buy here, take this $10,000 for your school. We're not in that environment anymore. You got to convince the club, the sponsor, that you're serious. You got to convince them that they're going to get returns on their investments. You got to convince them that you're not going to bring their brand, their name into disrepute by the behavior of your players and your club and your program. And while all of that happening on the one hand, then you have Bif and Table Tennis Association approaching the corporate sponsor for a piece of the pie, the sponsorship pie, and then you have the SEMS.
Green Valley Football School asking for sponsorship too.
And you also have Cairn High School and Cairn Primary School and SEMS High School and SEMS Primary School, but you also have the Methodist Church from over there and the English Church from Kwaso, and you have the girls' guys from here. These are the reality. And when the budgets for advertising for companies getting smaller, last year we gave, I don't know, $20,000, but this year we got to drop it down to 16,000 or 18,000 for whatever reason or reason. These are the realities. And to me, it's a vicious circle, because without institutions like your school, these young boys and young girls will be left idly. And there's an adage, the devil find work for idle hands to do. And that's the approach that Kevin was using. And you mentioned the 9 and the 10-year-olds. you mentioned that. But at least he knew what the challenge was, and he was trying to assist the challenge. Notwithstanding, it will be a challenge trying to solve the challenge. But you have to make the effort. And the dividends may not come this year, next year, no. It may come down the road, especially when one of these 9-year, 10-year-olds, Kevin, would have had gone through and make the national under 20 team, under 15, under 17, under 20, etc., etc. And speaking about that, Al, we move into, wow, time flying by, we move into the St. Kitts and Nevis under 20 team that currently competing in the CONCACAF under 20 championship, and have not had a good outing in their first match, going down to Puerto Rico. They are actually in Group B, St. Kitts and Nevis, Group B with Jamaica, Puerto Rico. But let me not only call the teams, let me call the position. Bonaire, there are six teams in the Group 6. They've lost the match they've played, 3-0. St. Kitts and Nevis in 5th, they lost the match 2-1. Cayman Islands in 4th, they lost the match 2-1 as well. Turks and Caicos Island won the match, they are in 3rd with 3 points. Puerto Rico in 2nd with 3 points. Jamaica in 1st with 1 win, 3 points. Not an easy zone to talk about, Coach Ibu. Because
we talk about this zone. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. We simply cannot afford, financially and human resource, to maintain, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, on the 13, on the 15, on the 17, on the 19, on the 23, and say that's 6, that's 12 teams.
And how you get 12, by the way, for the listeners?
On the 13, on the 15, on the 17, that's 3. On the 19, 4. The Olympic team, which is on the 23, that's 5. And the senior men's team.
That's 6.
That's 6. And then you replicate that for the females.
Okay. 6 males and 6 females. Okay.
Right.
So you were saying?
Each unit will need about $5 million to prepare properly.
Wow.
To get good results in the CONCACAF zone that we're in.
You're talking $60 million?
Yep.
And the government, how much does the government put in their budget for sports? Does it touch $1 million? I really can't remember. I need to check it out. And it's not that national associations need to wholly and solely depend on government. because they need to do their
No,
programs.
they have money, but I don't know if they're willing to spend $5 million on each category team. But that's the kind of vision that we have to have in order for us to say, yes, our team did well.
So,
other than that, it's going to have to be a bunch of talented guys like the ones we had several years ago. We're not going to get all the time. We have a good group, at least 10 talented guys who can hold their own. And so my suggestion has always been...
Wait, before you get to your suggestion, hold on a sec, Coach Ibu, could I chuck in this question? So, let us assume that I am the Prime Minister, I am the Minister of Sports, and you have a meeting with me, and the proposal that you just made, 12 national teams at 6 different levels, 5 million, that's $60 million. So if I were to say, okay, Al, yes, my ministry, we can support your national, and this is only football, This ain't cricket, this ain't basketball, this ain't table tennis. This is just football you're talking about. We could give you $60 million, but so what could we expect from these teams next year? Could we expect them to win the CONCACAF or the championship or the CFU championship or make the World Cup or whatever with $60 million investment after 1 year?
I wouldn't say one. I would say maybe 2 years we should be able to win.
Okay. Let's say 3 years. So that's 60 million times 3. That's $180 million.
Yeah.
And this is just sports. And this is just football.
Right.
Suppose basketball come with the same thing. Then that's football. How much you just say? 180?
That's not my headache.
Huh?
That is not my headache.
Okay.
You asked me about the performance of our under 20 team. I'm saying to you that we need to prepare these teams properly. And I don't care where they get coached from. It could be Germany, Brazil, or Timbuktu. If you don't prepare properly, the best coach cannot do anything with your team. You cannot give a man class to see and tell him below our house.
And what is your idea of preparing properly?
It's talking all aspects of the game, tactically, technically, and physically. You have to eat right, you have to train right, and on top of that, prepare by playing against teams that are similar in their group prior to the competition.
And how many games you think might be adequate, appropriate? 1 game, 2 games, 5 games? I don't know.
It depends. It depends because at each step of the way you have to do an evaluation and assessment of where your team is, where you want to be. We have markers. So if you have Jamaica in the group, you look for a team that is similar to Jamaica and you play against them. And you're looking for keeping, especially over time, in 60 minutes, this team that's similar to Jamaica should not squad me. I should be able to beat this team, let's say Santo Domingo, or even Cuba, to play against them in practice matches home and away.
Okay. And you said similar.
You have your markers, your objectives, you take as long as you go. If you're not getting them, then you need to increase. And where you always say, go back to the drawing board and come again.
You did say similar. Similar in what element? If, for example, Jamaica is ranked at, I don't know, 98, and I could find out. So do you play a team that is 97 or 98, or the style of play? What are you talking about, really?
Style of play.
Oh,
basically style of play.
Style of play. Okay, if they know the close-knit ball, short passes, and the ball's down the left side and nothing happened, they come back, go to the goalkeeper, and they come back down to the middle, they come back, patience, the number of passes.
With a direct team, a below team from behind, counter-attacking team. And when they play, you have to send your scouts to scout them.
Which again going to be part of the $5 million.
Yes, of course.
And
some scouts, the ticket and hotel room and technology. The technology is what is carrying the game today now. Not enough technology could tell you what color underpants Ronaldo is wearing.
What chewing gum he using? What deodorant, what spray he like? That
Yep.
is down to the grassroots. How long it take him to tie boots?
Yep.
Which boots he the tie first? How he da put on his boots? If he put on his left socks and then he right socks and then he left boot and then right boot or left socks and then left boot.
Everything technology will in the world now.
Wow.
And we have to get into that, those kind of programs.
What music you like?
And so I did not see or hear proper preparation of our under 20 team to rumble with those type of teams, the Turks and Caicos, Jamaica in particular.
Puerto Rico. But
Yeah, Puerto Rico, we got a lot of influence from the USA. And the USA always have good programs, especially their females. But they bear nothing in order to prepare the teams.
one key element in terms of preparation, Al, I don't know if you think we've been getting better at it over the last 5-10 years. We are the same or we are retrogressing. Preparation.
They're retrogressing.
but
I
you
don't know
let me
what
ask
I'm about in that is getting worse.
But you didn't let me ask the question. I suspect that's going to be your answer. But where you're preparing for a tournament, how long before the tournament would be a reasonable period for you to, one, identify your squads? Let me use the word squad, 20-something, 30-something, whatever the squad is, players, to start training. How often do you train? Once a week, twice a week, etc.? So do you start 2 weeks before, put out a notice that anybody under 21, make the under 20 team, you come to a trial up Warner Park tomorrow? Why are you laughing, Al?
No, I wouldn't. Because I saw something similar somewhere. they had a trial, somebody newspaper item or social media post where you sending out things months before a program. My thing is 24 months. 24
months. You mean 2 years?
Yep.
So at 5 million a year, that's 10 million you're talking about, Al?
Yes.
What is this, Al?
But which is why I started by saying I don't think we can afford to have all those age category teams
12
doing
teams.
well in each of these competitions. And you didn't let me go on with a suggestion. You
Well,
cut me off by going.
I'm waiting for it now. I didn't forget you. I would have come back to it, you.
We have to choose. We have to choose our most talented teams. Maybe 6, 7, 8. Maybe 4 on the girl side, 4 on the boy side. And cut down that amount of money that you seem to go bother about to maybe 40 million. More manageable. And I don't mean not to give up on them, to still focus on some of them. But we decide, okay, or on the 17 girls, or on the 19 boys, or on the 13 boys, or on the 15 girls. These are the 4. And the 2 senior teams. These are the 4, 6, or 8 teams that we're focusing on heavily. And we expect them to do well. We expect them to reach the Gold Cup and compete and not come last. We expect them to maintain in Group B of the CONCACAF Cup. So you have your objectives.
But then at the same time, Al, how could you as a coach or the FA convince me of a parent where I have my daughter in Tabernacle and my son in Sadlers playing at the under 15 level boys and girls, and you're going to tell me, well, boy, we ain't going to concentrate on the under 15s this time around for the next year or two. We're going to concentrate on your suggestion. How could you convince me to not take my children and send them go pitch marbles?
Well, that's a big we'll have to cross when you get to it. I did say we're not going to forget them. So it means they will have to have a program going, but maybe not as much as 5 million.
Oh, okay. That sounds reasonable because you're concentrating on the under 17.
You pinch 100,000 out of the
okay. I with you.
Out of the 5 and you pass on to that other team. Yeah.
So they continue.
That's the budget.
Especially if their age team under 13 in the next 2 years, I think we're going to say like I said, they'll be under 15, so we cannot ignore them.
Well, that's the question I was going to ask.
They focus on their nutrition and their physical, so you can probably do physical nutrition program alone. Make sure that this group eats properly, go to the gym and so on, that kind of thing.
Okay, I'm with you because I was going to tell
you. In order to prepare properly, you have to spend the money.
Because
this thing about calling in managers and coaches from Brazil and Germany and Italy and Spain, it's not going to work. You have to prepare.
But my question to you would be, Al,
bringing Pep Guardiola, Alex Ferguson, and whoever else, and combine them.
But you must have the raw materials.
For 3 weeks before tournament. They're not doing anything.
No matter what quality milling factory you have the coaches, you must have the raw material to give you a very good product.
Exactamundo.
Oh, okay. And I understand clearly what you're saying because last year, I think it's the last quarterly press conference, Cricket West Indies, they indicated that because of financial challenges, a few things are going to happen this year, which already started happening. One, the regional 4-day competition and the regional 50-over competition, the West Indies Academy team, which is a feeder team, and the combined campuses and colleges, which is another feeder team, they are not going to be participating in the 50 overs and the regional 4-day competition. So we are talking about 30 youngsters not having that opportunity to play. Plus, they indicated that the under-17 program will no longer be happening. So that leaves a gap from the under-15 to the under-19, a 4-year gap. Because of financial, which ties back to what you're saying.
Yeah, they're saying the same thing. I think they simply cannot afford it.
Well, that's really a challenge, Al. But based on the discussion, probably a final question. This under-20 team, I jog your memory back to a few years, when our under-20 team did relatively well, the best perhaps any of our national team would have done. Do you ever see us getting to that point again? And if so, if not, what will it take us to get to that point? Apart from the 5 million. You there, Al? Hello? Well, it seemed as if we would have lost our guest there. I do apologize for that, Al. And, well, we were just about to wrap up. We would have given him the opportunity after that question to have his final words. But it's, as a matter of fact, we're over time. I do thank you, Al, for being on the program. And, well, we'll have you again on the program, no doubt. It's not the first time we've had you, and it definitely won't be the last. But we thank you for expressing your views and being frank. One thing we can count on Al for doing is being frank. He's going to state on how he feels, and if he matches some toes, I don't think he's going to apologize for putting his foot under your toe. His foot under your foot when you're mashing him. He's going to tell you how it is. But thanks a lot, Al, and congratulations with the formation of your school. I wish you well, and we have a discussion even how I can volunteer to assist, especially in the academic element. I'll probably have to go and brush off my CSEC primary school, mathematics for primary school children, etc. the case may be. Or could we have him back? Could we have him to say, let me get the permission from the DJ, could we have the caller back to at least give some final comments? We'll just try to link him up to get him give some final comments because we really appreciate his contribution. And just give us a sec while we set up the technology, and we'll have him link up to give his final words and his parting shots, so to speak. And we're trying to get that. Yes.
Thank you, Al.
Sorry, we had some technical difficulties. But I was just about to ask you to give your final wrap-up again, and especially remind us about your school, please, your academy.
Well, that's what the wrap-up is about. I'm inviting persons to call and register, and not only call and register, but also send their kids to the Green Valley Football School. We've started step 1, step 2, 1 active session, one lawn session. So we're going into the second active session this coming Sunday at the St. Mary's Pavilion. Ages 6 to 16, male and female. The telephone number to call 762-3134. In terms of wrapping up at the Premiership, the footballing syndicates, those with the passion about the game will be the most successful ones. Those who do not train properly, the results will show on the field. And the last thing we were talking about, we need to spend a lot of money on our marquee teams. We cannot afford financially or human resources to maintain 12 top teams that could make us proud. We have to bite the bullet and choose. And as you said, the West Indies board has recognized that. And they have cut the program, the youth program, they have cut 2 teams that they technically support. So it's our turn to face up to those facts. But in terms of national football, it is said, where is no vision, the people perish. And I think we are in the perishing stage.
Well, Al, I thank you very much for being a part of the program tonight. Exclusively, you're our exclusive guest tonight, and we really appreciate that. We congratulate you on the idea of having the Green Valley Football School. And
it's a work in progress. Still not done yet. Ongoing. We have one person on board from tonight, Troy Bif Mills, who is a teacher. We have to just have to get him from Sandy Point.
Which is too easy. I might have to probably consider getting a lady friend in Keon as well to perhaps eliminate that transportation and that.
It is said that one of the factors that led to the mass movement of players from one community to the next. You have a girlfriend in that community, and the girlfriend said, well, hey, hello, shop toes until you play for this. We're going in the team.
So I might have to consider that myself. All right. But I thank you. I think it's a tremendous idea, and I do hope persons in other communities follow. I can tell you, there are a few colleagues of mine in the hardcore SP with the Best Be region, Sandy Point, who have been thinking about it, working along the lines. I don't know how far along the planning has gone, but we need it, and not only in my humble view, for just the football, the table tennis, the basketball, whatever, because we need to have that vehicle to move our youth away from this lot of marijuana they're smoking, especially Al, Red Bull and Guinness, and hardcore athletes into that strict form of life. But thanks a lot, Al, and all the best. Congratulations, and all the best again.
Thank you, man. You're welcome. 762-3134. Give me a call, give me a text.
Definitely. And you have been listening to Coach Bill, an interview exclusively here on the ball at WINN FM 98.9 with Al Coachable Edwards out of the Green Valley Keon area, a coach for most, if not most of his life. See, I know him dabbling with football for quite a long period, former first vice president of the St. Kitts and Nevis Football Association, national player. And I think he's going to be successful. I encourage you to take your children out to him, go and visit them. And in other communities, you start asking questions about your footballers, cricketers, etc. Hey, how can I get my child, my children, my brother, my sister involved in representing my community at 9 years, at 7 years? It's never too young to start. I believe in table tennis, for example, we put out ads from 6 to 16 years. And when we have camps, 2 things happen. A parent bringing a child 4-year-old 4 years old. And then we said 16, but 20 people, 20-something, 30-something come in. It grieves our heart to turn them away. So we find some way to get them involved in the program. So when we start advertising with table tennis for our camps, we don't put an age now. Because our motto at the St. Kitts and Nevis Table Tennis Association is table tennis for everyone. Because we believe if you're 101, you can play table tennis, eh? If it happens out there, why can't it happen here? And that is something we're going to look at. But before we slip away, one final thing. Some weeks ago, you would have heard about a new Umpires and Scorers Association, the St. Kitts Cricket Umpires and Scorers Association, being formed. We are still active. We are working on the Constitution and the Code of Conduct, or Code of Ethics, if you want to call it that. That should be completed in the next, shortly, let me put it very shortly. And then we're going to have a meeting to ratify both documents, have elections, and we'll be up and running fully with them. So anybody interested in becoming umpires or cricket scorers, you can give me a call, 668-2055, or you can call Early Bill Nisbet, and his number is 669-0339. Early Bill Nisbet, 669-0339, or Rudolph Watley. Watley's number, Rudy, 663-2988, 663-2988, or you can call me on either 765-1100, which has WhatsApp, or 668-205, which doesn't have WhatsApp. If you want to become an umpire or a scorer, and we're going to be training you to be at the fullest level. Now, in ending, I thank you for listening. I thank my guest, Coach Ibu Edwards, and I also thank my producer, Raspy Tough House Sounds, for being with us. It was my pleasure. And again, to the family of the late Carl Weiss Liebert, we say condolences. May he sleep in peace. I encourage you to come on board as a sponsor, either for On the Ball or the Evening Sports. And join us again next week, Tuesday, God's Spear, from 7 to 9 on the Ball here at WINN FM 98.9. Remember, if you are not patient, you may become a patient or even worse, and you have to drive to arrive alive. Please be positive in your thoughts, in your words, and in your actions. Thank you for listening. Have a good night. See you next week, Tuesday, God's Spear.
Do you want to know what's happening in sport? Tune in to On the Ball, a weekly talk show which is on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. with me, your host, Troy Bif Mills. We will keep you on the ball with our variety of guests and, of course, your calls, discussing the facts and the stats and sharing your opinions. Get on the ball and stay on the ball by tuning into On the Ball with Troy Bif Mills on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. and also on Facebook and YouTube. Be on the ball.